What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Zappy, and before we get into the video, I just want to remind everybody, if you're under level 15 and you want $10 worth of free stuff, go to your settings, go to use promo code, and type in XMGGift. You do that, you'll get $10 worth of free stuff. It helps support the channel. So if you're under level 15, make sure you're using that promo code XMGGift. Enjoy the video. What is going on, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zappy, and we are back for some Noobs series, and this is Tuesday night. I was hoping to have this out on Tuesday, but work just caught up with me. And you're probably going to be watching this on Wednesday. And we're here to talk a little Zappy, the dwarf. So that is pretty cool. And I've been playing around with her and Borwin. And we are going to get into our noob series like we always do. We're going to break down stats, stuff like that. And, you know, stat breakdown is gear 11. Moves are gears or ability 6. Now, both the dwarves and the half pigs have like tier 7 abilities. And I'm going to tell you, there's one I really like for Zappy, and maybe somebody out there who possibly has used it can let me know, but it'd be one that I think could really be beneficial. So before we get into that though, this is an incomplete team, and it plays like an incomplete team. I've tried all different kinds of leads, like a Soleus lead, trying to increase their damage. I went for a Slinger lead to try to speed them up. I even tried a Darien lead out. You know, kind of like that all-encompassing clan or order team. And Soleus and Slinger are by far my favorites, but they need like a good solid tank with them, and I'll kind of go over that when I get to their move kits and break it all down. So let's get into the stats. Alright, so Zappy, she's a dwarf fighter and a warrior, and she looks really cool. If you haven't had a chance to play with her yet, she does look really cool. She has a lot of like she's like floating in the air by like rocket shoes, and dwarves are notoriously like mechanical, kind of like engineers, gnome-ish. And you know, they have the hammers and digging in mountains, and I love the design of the dwarves. Let me start by saying that. Alright, Zappy, speed. She 140 speed, tied for 14th in the game, so that 140 speed on a fighter warrior, it's pretty standard, but it is tied for 14th in the game. Health is a very nice 30,095, coming in at 9th. Shield, 30th in the game, so about midway at 25,825. Health and shield combo, 11th in the game, really respectable, 55,920. So all of these new characters so far that have come into the game have been pretty beefy, pretty survivable, and I like that. Zappy's physical damage is 2872, coming in at 24th in the game. So definitely above average, not anything earth-shattering. Very good. Shattering. So we can work with it. Physical armor, 59th in the game, 28.52. Magic armor, 25.82. Funny how they move the 8 and the 5 there. 60th in the game. So we're seeing some survivability issues. Besides that, great health and shield combination. Magic and physical armor, both very low on Zappy. Zappy's critical chance, she's tied for 51st in the game at 20.22. Potency, 4th in the game with 57. That is awesome. We always say potency sucks. It's really nice and refreshing to see somebody with actually good potency, so let's hope she needs it. And tenacity, 32, tied for 8th in the game. That is dead average in this game for gear 11, is 32 tenacity. So, well, tied for 8th sounds good. It's dead center of the pack. So, yeah. So what are my stat takeaways here? Potency is a huge plus. It's like I was saying, it's very refreshing to see a character with potency. Health and shield combination, extremely good. You know, starting off that way is fantastic. Her armors are so low, very low on this character. And crit chance, really low for a fighter and a warrior. We'd like to see that better. Hopefully all of those things are incorporated into the move kit. So let's get over that. Alright, so here we are with Zappy. And we're going to start with move kits. So her first ability, Biting Hammer, deals 330 physical damage. Oh, that is probably tier 7. Deals 280 physical damage at tier 6 to an enemy. Consumes 15% of charge. For every 1% of consumed charge, the crit chance of this attack is increased by 4%. Landing a critical hit is a 75% chance to inflict crit chance decrease for 2 turns. So, we need to talk about charge. Charge is like oink for the pigs. The dwarves, at least Borwin and Zappy, build up charge. Now, there's a couple things with charge you need to know right away. Right here where it says consumes 15% charge. If you have 15%. If you don't have 15, it's going to consume it all. So say you have 10. It'll take it all. And then for every 1% consumed charge, the crit chance of this attack is increased by 4%. So if it takes the 15, all 15%, it can't go any higher than that, you're going to add another 60% to crit. But if you only take away the 10, because that's all you have, it's going to add an additional 40% crit, right? Now you can gain charge. There's moves with the synergy between Borwin and Zappy, which I'll get to, which add charge. But if you are hit, you lose charge. So AoE damage dealers versus dwarves, if the trend continues, I could see being a very hard counter for them. Because that means they're going to do less things. The more they get hit, the more they lose that charge. So it's not like a passive ability. It can be taken away by them getting hit. So we have to keep that in mind. It's very kind of balanced, and sometimes you might want to use like an AoE, but you don't have the full charge, so you're not going to get the full benefit. So it's going to take some getting used to, but once you get used to that mechanic, it's nice. So that's charge in a nutshell. You get it passively, which you'll see, okay? But in the first one, we're seeing physical damage. We're seeing a crit chance increase for that move. So if you have that 15 charge, getting an extra 60% crit chance onto the 20. Now you're at 80%. So now you can see, just from this first move alone, why her crit chance is so low. If she would have had a super high crit chance, you'd be critting every single time. So now we're starting to see why that makes sense. Right? Now at level 7 on this ability, the physical damage goes up by 50%, which is huge. And crit chance increase 1%. So instead of, if you had all 15, you would get 60% crit. If you take this to level 7, you get 5% per 1% consumed. So that would take it up to 75% crit chance. So she's almost at 100 without putting any more crit on her. And then you have a 25% chance to inflict crit chance decrease. Really like that. I think that's the only character so far we've seen with a crit chance decrease. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Second ability, Split the Ferment. And let's go to level 6 and check that out. Deals 280 physical damage to all enemies, so we're seeing an AoE. Prolongs all armor reduction effects on enemies by 1 turn, so it's a debuff extension. Pretty neat. Consumes 25% charge. Now, that's if you have 25%. Same thing applies. If you don't have the 25%, you're under that, it's going to take it all away. For every 1% charge consumed, gains 4% chance to inflict daze for 2 turns. So, this is a potency tenacity check, right? So say you have 25% charge, you use that, you're going to be at 100% chance to inflict it. So that means it only goes through the 1 potency tenacity check, not to see if it lands and then to see if the character resists it. It only goes to see if the character resists it. Now, if you have under 25% charge, let's say you have 20% charge, you use this ability, you only have an 80% chance to inflict the daze. That means it's it's going to go through the 2 potency tenacity checks like we talked about a second ago. It's going to go through to see if it lands. So let's say it lands, and then it's going to check to see if your potency and tenacity match up to see if it's resisted or not. So interesting mechanic. That's why you got to pay attention to your charge as you go. But she has great potency, so that's a plus, right? I think that's a really, really big plus. And the debuff extension is really cool, because if there's a lot of armor decreases out there, she can come through, put it on, puts another tick down so they stay longer. Really like that. Really like that. And her tier 7 ability here adds another 50% damage, so it goes up to a 330 on all enemies, and then prolongs armor decrease for 2 turns instead of 1. So you hit that, it lands. So say they already have 2 turns on the armor decrease, it's going to go to 4. So pretty interesting, pretty neat. Really like this mechanic. Her third ability here is critical pirouette. And I'm probably saying that wrong, but increases crit damage for 2 turns and applies it to 2 allies. I don't like the whole 2 ally thing, because if there's a summon minion or something like that down, it could go to the wrong person, and it's RNG dependent, right? Maybe you don't want your crit damage increase to go to your defender, but it does. So recovers 15% charge, an additional 5% to Bordwin and herself for each day's stack on the opponent. So if we go back to her splitting the ferment, right, at level 6 here, she has, for every 1% charge consumed, you have a 4% chance to inflict daze for 1 turn. So if you have 25% charge, like we talked about, you times that by 4%, because it's going to consume all 25, you're looking at a 60% chance to inflict daze on an AoE. Pretty solid. But that you can start to see how her move kit plays into each other, right? And then she recovers 15% of her charge. So you use this, she's going to automatically put 15% charge on herself. An additional 10% charge for each day stack. So say you're at 85% and there's no dazed opponents, you use this. Zappy's, if Zappy's charge reaches 100, which it would, she and Bordwin gain a potency increase for 2 turns. It's pretty solid, right? Now let's say you're at 75% and there's 1 dazed. You're going to get 25%, putting her at that 100, giving you that potency increase. Now, sometimes you're going to have to build her charge up regardless of how many days they're out there or not, and you're not going to reach 100. So, but that's the price you pay and the balancing act you have to do. But I talked about here the T7 ability I really liked, and I really, really like this one. Because on tier 6, it only goes to 2 allies, and you get a 5% charge for each days. You take this to tier 7, all allies get that crit damage increase, which is awesome. And then you get the 10%. So if you're at 50% and there's 5 days, you're going to get that potency increase. This T7 ability is actually one of my favorites. It is really, really beneficial, at least on paper. So if somebody out there has used it, please let me know. But I really, really think this T4 or T7 ability upgrade would be money well spent on her. And I'll kind of get into that in my character review at the end. But I do like this quite a bit. And then her passive ability, Intensity Generator. For each 1% charged, gains a 0.5% crit damage increase. If at the end of the turn, charge is less than 40%, restores 30% turn meter. So at the end of turn, keep that in mind. So if you have 50% charge and you use the AoE, it's going to take it down 25 to 25%. That's going to give you 30% turn meter. Really, really solid. Bordwin receives the same buffs. Loses 10% charge upon taking damage, which is what we talked about, right? And then applies Earth Power to Baldar at the start of battle. Well, we don't have Baldar yet, so I mean, I don't really know what Earth Power does. And I just went over and checked. on Balder, and it doesn't explain it, so when they release the kit, we'll find out, but that is to come. But her passive here ability, pretty solid. Now, at tier 7 on this one, if she is less than 50% charge, she gains 40% turn meter. So, again, could be worth it, but I still think that ability 3, her pirouette there is still a better upgrade. If I only had to pick one, I think that's the one I'm going to go to. Just spread that buff to the whole team could be pretty devastating. So we talk about her move kit takeaways. That decreased crit chance is really, really cool. She needs potency for her move kit, but this is actually a positive because she has a lot of it. She's starting at 57. That's huge, huge for what we need, and she gives herself a potency increase. The charge I have is a plus and a minus because it's kind of a tricky balancing act when you play it, and as she takes damage, she decreases, her charge. Her crit chance is still a negative for me. The basic ability pumps it up for that basic ability, but she's giving herself crit chance, through that move, but she has that crit damage buff. She has a lot of crit damage increase, so I still think putting some crit chance onto her could be beneficial in the long run. But her move kit kind of took care of a lot of her deficiencies and actually built upon what she had well. So I do like that. Now we talk about rune sets, right? And in her rune sets, you could go 4 speed to get her going often, to increase that armor, decreased armor, just to get her to do some damage, because she can put out some pretty good damage. And you could either go crit chance times 2 or potency times 2, depending on what you want to build. You could also go a crit damage set with crit chance. You could go a damage set with crit chance and potency. You could go all potencies, which I didn't have here because I think that's kind of overkill. But you really could do that as well to guarantee all those debuffs stick. Would be pretty nice. But I went for the speed with the potency. I did try the crit chance, but her multipliers on the crit chance are so low anyways. I just wasn't getting the value from it. We're putting on 2 potencies. You're going from that 57 instead of that 20%. So you're getting more for your buck in the potencies. And for her substats, I'm looking for speed. As much speed as I can get her. I'm looking for damage. I'm looking for crit chance. I'm looking for potency. And then survivability. Now she has great health. She has pretty decent shield. Her health and shield combination is really good. Her armor is extremely low. So remember, if you have a percentage of armor, times that by that low number, you're not getting a big return on your investment. But survivability in the form of health, for me, because I get the most off of that, is what I tried. But I wanted her to go fast. So let's jump back into the game and I'll go over the runes. So here we are now. Remember, I have gear 11 plus on her. So we're just going to talk about what we added to the character. In the top one, I went for damage. I got 11 speed out of this rune. Got some extra damage, got some health and some shield. Pretty happy with that. I went for speed in the northeastern rune with some health, some more damage. I put on a little bit more potency, and I got some flat stat of armor, which is a little better than the percentage right now. Then here in the southeastern rune, obviously we have the armor. I went with shield, damage. Got 10 speed on this rune, so pretty happy about that. And some flat health. I wish that was kind of more percentage. Here I went for crit chance, because I'm giving myself 7% more crit chance. So I like this kind of a little bit better. Got some health, damage, got 7 speed, and some armor. And then I got, in the southwestern rune, I went for shield, because I got 8 speed with potency. Now that 1.5% armor, it is what it is. It'll hopefully increase it. And then shield by 345. Now I did go potency in the northwestern rune. You could put damage here if you wanted to. But I wanted to get that little more bump in potency. So with that great 57, let's get another 19.5% on top of that. I got 6 speed. And then I got a whole bunch of survivability. I would really like to get a damage or some crit chance worked in there. But I didn't really find a lot of good substats for crit chance. So it's still kind of low. But let's take a look at her stats and see what we did here. Brought up her physical damage by 166. Brought up her crit chance only by 7%. So it's still really low. So hopefully those multipliers from the charges can really help out. Health I brought up 1,498. Shield I brought up 4,917. Now her armor percentages I brought up 3.2 and 4.27, so a little bit better than where we were sitting before. Speed I got up to 86. 86 speed on this character. Great, she's going to be going fast. And then the potency. I got her over 100% potency in this build, and maybe that's overkill. I could cut back to try to get some crit chance in there, but I'm okay. I'm going to take it. We want the dazes to stick, so I'm okay with that. We have Zappy. We did what we wanted to. I want her to go super fast. I want her to get that potency up to get those dazes, because daze is a very strong debuff, so I'm really happy with that. So before I take her into a battle and I can kind of show you what's going on, I'm going to take her into a battle on just the campaign, because in the arena I'm getting smoked by pretty much everybody, and it's not really a good showcase of the ability, and I kind of want to play a longer fight. So I'm going to take her in there to show you. But my overall thoughts on Zappy. Zappy's pretty cool. And I actually enjoy playing the mechanics of the two dwarves we have. Now, as a full team, my judgment could change than I did of the half-pigs. There's thinking involved, just like the half-pigs, but they just were funner to me. I've always been a dwarf guy. My first character in World of Warcraft was a dwarf. Through the whole, Dungeons and Dragons days, I was drawn to the dwarf faction. I always thought they were cool. Lord of the Rings, I love the dwarves. So maybe I'm partial there, but there are things that could really make or break this team. Zappy needs to have a very solid tank and defender. Now, Baldar, however you say it, is the tank for the team, and she does have some synergy with him, so that is a plus. But her low armor, even when you put on all that extra stuff, she's at 30%. She seems to die quicker. And like I said, the AoEs could be a hard counter to her, taking her down so she can do less things to the team. Fighting them is also going to be tricky, because you're going to have to remember what each one does. But Zappy is a lot of fun, and I'm really, really interested to see where these dwarves go. So let's jump over to a fight, and you can kind of see what I've just talked about a little bit in action. So we're just going to jump into the Dawn of Order on 11, because 12 is just more Doom. So I want you to see like a prolonged fight here. And this is the kind of team I was screwing around with. Soleus, Thelaine, why am I drawing a blank on her name? Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on her name. Bordwin and Zappy. And obviously in this team, I'm just going to use a lot of basics. I'm going to use heals so I can kind of showcase that a little bit more, because and the damage is going to be a little skewed, but this is a good long fight. You can see Titania. That is the elf's name. Rock solid today, Zeri. So here we go. Now, I got it on 2x speed. Now, right now we have 0% charge. So here, deals 280 physical damage to an enemy, consumes 15% charge. For every 1% consumed of charge, the crit chance of this attack is increased by 4%. We have 0 charge, so it's going to take 0 away, so we're not getting any crit chance other than what we have, which is only 30, and I'm going to use it to show you here. And we must have missed or something. Right, so Bordwin, which noob series coming, we're going to put some charge on. And we'll just basic with Thelaine. We're just going to put that on Thelaine, Taunt, back to Zappy. Now we have 40% charge. Now in our third ability, we gain that 15% charge and then 5% for each additional dazed. But right now we're only getting 15. We're not going to get up to that 100% mark to put on the potency. So we're going to check out the other ones here. We have deals 280 physical damage to all enemies, prolongs armor reduction effects, consumes 25% charge, and we can put the days on. So there, we're going to use that. We got 3 dazes now. And you see our charge dropped from 40% to 15%. So we'll just do our basic. Now this move puts on an armor decrease, so that is pretty solid. So now we have daze, bleed, and an armor decrease. We're just going to heal here so we can go back and see. Now we're going to go to Zappy's move. We're going to take this down to 1 speed because her pirouette move here, where she recovers 15% charge and then 5% for each daze. So she's going to get 25%, which should bring her back to 40%. So you can see that kind of in action. There you go, 40%, and we got crit damage. Now I don't have that T7 upgrade, so it went to Soleus and it went to her. So we're just going to put on the basic. Let's bring this back up to 4. Okay, so here we are on her first ability. Now we have 40% charge, so we're going to consume all 15, and then it's going to raise our crit chance by that 15%. Times 4, which puts us at 60% crit chance. We have 30 on, so we should have 90%. There you go. Now we're back down to 25% charged. And as you can see, the speed helps her go. Now Bordwin just went, and he passively gives charge out, which we'll go over in the noob series, but we got her up to 65%. Now, since this is the test server, I can use this move because it helps us test the moves for them. We have 1 dazed opponent, so we're going to get 20% charge. Isn't going to put us at 25 for that potency increase, so we're just going to do a basic here. So here we're not going to AoE, we're just going to do another basic, but we're consuming that charge up. And that daze is helping shutting down Tromgar, so we're still at 35%, so we'll just basic again. Let's get our taunt up. Basic there. Let's put on that charge. We got no dazes out, so we're still not going to reach that hit point, but trust me, it works the way it's intended. So now we are going to drop this down to 1 and do that AoE. Get out all those dazes. We go down to 35%. So you can see the balancing act here. So I'm just going to let this kind of play out, and I'm really excited to see what the rest of this door faction looks like and how it plays. And this is a different noob series, and I want to introduce you more to the charge mechanic, so when Bordwin comes around we can do that. So I mean, all in all, these characters they're really fun to play, and I like how they're making you think more than just the lane throwing her knives. Like it's a juggling act, and you think about it. See there, she just got hit and it brought her down 10%. So you can kind of see how keeping a heavy duty tank with a good taunt up is going to be really vital to this team, I think. And again, if anybody out there has used her and brought any of her abilities up to T7, I would really, really love to hear your feedback on that, because I do think that pirouette A3 ability is probably the one to start with, so you can spread that crit damage increase to the whole team. So that is what I got for you on a noob series. Once all these characters are released and we can actually test the whole team, there'll be a dwarves team noob series and a half pigs noob team series. Like I broke down like the Lake lead and the Murdoch lead, I'll do the same thing. But that is what I got for everybody today, and if you're just finding me for the first time and you're liking what you're seeing, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, all that good stuff that goes along with it. And for all my XMG family members out there, you know I love you. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.